Welcome to the Film Florida podcast. My name is John Lux, and I'm the Executive Director of Film Florida. Today, our guests are John McKarthy and Herta Suarez. John is an actor and the Miami Local President of SAG-AFTRA, and Herta is the Executive Director for the Miami Local. Thanks for joining us on the podcast today.
Thank you for having us.
So I like to start each of these interviews with a little bit of a backstory. So why don't each of you take a minute and tell us how you got involved in the industry?
I basically grew up in New York City, and my sister is an actress, and she's a year older than I am. She's a very good actress, and so growing up, we were with church plays. She always took the drama courses, and obviously I always wanted to be involved around her as she's a year older than me. And it had its benefits. We were always doing plays, and they got the good field trips to, like, the Statue of Liberty and everything that they went on. So as I did that, I obviously went into other areas of my life, went to school and went back into business. And then I moved back to Miami, and I was living on Brickell Key, and one of my neighbors was always at the beach there, and it was Jennifer Aniston. I live on a little island, and I kept seeing her there. And one time I couldn't get off the island, and I was asking them why would they, if anybody's ever been to Brickell, they realize how much traffic's there. And they said, well, Jennifer Aniston and Owen Wilson are shooting Marley and Me. So I said, wow. They said, and then when the producers was there, and he said to me, you should be in this. And I was like, well, how do I do that? Just joking around. And he gave me a email, and somebody was in the car with me, took it. I sent my picture, and the next day I was in Marley and Me. So as I did that, I kept coming back and doing different things. And actually, I got an agent, and my first commercial I booked, which was a SAG-AFTRA commercial for head tennis rackets, and it was with Djokovic, and it was almost like a blessing and a curse. The blessing is I booked my first commercial on the first time, and the curse is I didn't book anything for the next year. So that's how I got. That's my backstory. What about yours, Herta?
Yeah, well, it goes back to graduate school when I was at the University of Cincinnati. I was studying labor relations to go into human resources, but I decided along the way that I wanted to be not on the employer side but the worker side. So I landed, my first job was with AFTRA, the Cincinnati, Columbus, Dayton Local of AFTRA, and it's been my job for the last 33 years.
John, at some point in your career, you obviously decided you wanted to do more than just acting, and you wanted to get involved with SAG-AFTRA on the side that you're on now. So talk about when you decided to get more involved with SAG-AFTRA.
It was actually before I was doing the acting. I was always constantly meeting up with casting directors and a good friend of mine, Leah, who was with the Teamsters. I've been involved with unions since I was a little boy, my father being the president of the firefighters union. So we were talking, and they were having, I think it was 2010, and they were going to Tallahassee, and she asked me to come up with her. And I went up there with her and Ellen Jacoby on the incentive program. And as I was up there, I had saw Herta was there with Film Florida, and I got being involved with legislation. As being involved with unions before this with my father and others, I was always speaking with senators and House reps, and they were very familiar who my father was for years. So I thought it was very easy, whereas a lot of people, their tongue catches them. With me, for some reason, my tongue keeps going. I always seem to have something to say about something all the time. So that's what happened is I started getting involved. And then being involved with the union, it's not just legislation. You have conservatory, and you have stunt, and you have so many other different aspects that you can be involved with. And we're such a close-knit group here in our Miami Local, and it's almost, when you're around our members, it's like being around family members, because we're just a big family here.
As I read more about SAG-AFTRA, and this is a long list here, you guys represent more than 160,000 people, and the list is a little overwhelming. actors, announcers, broadcast journalists, dancers, DJs, news writers, news editors, program hosts, puppeteers, recording artists, singers, stunt performers, voiceover artists, and other media professionals. I had no idea that you represented such a wide range of people. So talk about the importance of what you do when you're representing that wide range for SAG-AFTRA.
Well, I'm going to go back a few years ago when there were two separate unions, the SAG, the Screen Actors Guild, and AFTRA, the American Federation of Television and Radio Artists. And in 2012, after two prior attempts to merge the two unions, we finally did it. And it brought together a broader range of categories of work within the entertainment media. And we go from representing, as you mentioned, broadcasters all around the country, in radio, television, cable, and all the way to performers, singers, dancers, actors. So that's one of our key things as a union is the diversity of our members. And it's diverse in so many different ways, not just those categories of work, but also we represent children, seniors, all those people work within our industry, and they're all in our union. It's an amazing group of people, and we are the largest of the entertainment unions in the U.S., definitely the most respected union in the world, and our mission is to provide protection and to those that work in our industry, whether they're members or not. So sometimes we do go to lobby in Washington for things that are going to benefit not just our members, but all other performers in our country. And we also work very hard to empower our members so that they can get a living wage, they can get health, pension when they retire, and this is something that those that work in the industry that don't work union don't get. Our members get it because they work on their union contracts that provide for those benefits, protect their intellectual property because it covers all the uses that a producer can imagine. We have protections for our members to get compensated for those things. And as part of our mission, we continue organizing more work so that more people, whether they're members or not, can benefit from all the different provisions in the union contracts that are lacking out there in the non-union world.
The Miami Local represents SAG-AFTRA members in Florida, Alabama, and Puerto Rico, if I'm not mistaken, but you also are involved in contracts in a couple other states. Talk about the pros and cons of having such a large footprint of constituents.
Yes, our local it does cover Florida, Alabama, and Puerto Rico, but we also service the 4 other locals as well as 11 states in total. And, it gives us a sense of what the productions that are going on in basically the whole Southeast. And we have some of the most professional actors and stunt people in the world. And if you want anything you want in the South, you can get through our SAG-AFTRA local here in our Miami local. As far as the cons, I don't see any cons. I think it's all pro because we are professional. We have someone basically in every city throughout the Southeast. And our staff, we have 19 people here on our staff here in our Miami local that covers that whole area. We have a large staff and we're able to get a sense of what productions are going on throughout the Southeast.
With the Miami local covering such a large area in the Southeast, how do you deal with, say, a problem in Alabama being completely different than something that is important here in the state of Florida? How do you deal with the different jurisdictions having different needs and different things that they need to address at different times?
Yes, let me clarify a little bit. We service the southeast of the U.S., and that covers 4 other locals that attend to the needs of those areas. Whether it's in Texas, the Nashville local, the Atlanta local, and the New Orleans local. So in Miami, we have been servicing since merger Alabama, Puerto Rico, and Florida. And it is a little different. I mean, for example, Puerto Rico is not right to work. So our contracts have to be enforced in a different manner. Our members in Puerto Rico have different needs as the ones here in Florida. They have good incentives right now and are getting work. Alabama, the same thing. They have incentives, and they're getting more work than we're getting here in Florida in terms of basically big series and what we call theatricals, big movies from the studios that are not coming here now as they used to in the past when we did have the incentives. So we try to work with all the different areas and how the situation is affecting them. But I have to say that when it comes to production, our members in Florida are not happy. Our members in Alabama are a lot happier right now because of the amount of work that's going to them. And some of it, as I understand it, could have come here, but went to their areas because of the incentives.
Well, unfortunately, that's a story that we all know too well over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And you guys are right in the middle of that. That was kind of the reason why I wanted to ask, is because I know there are different things going on in different states, one of which obviously is the different programs that are available. So that drives a lot of the feedback that you're getting from a lot of the people you represent. So yeah.
Yeah, and it is true that we know for a fact that some went to Puerto Rico rather than come here because of the incentives. So.
And we do a lot of commercials here. I mean, obviously they're not going to be doing them in Chicago and New York. We are one of the top places in the world that shoots commercials from January to June, and we are always up there. So who wants to shoot a commercial in New York during the middle of the winter? So they all come down here. We were heavily involved with the incentive program in Miami-Dade County, and we got that passed. It was a lot of our members that showed up and talked to our legislators, the commissioners there, and we're going to hopefully move forward on this, but nothing is important to us as a state incentive where we can compete with the other states, because it's basically a no-brainer. Who is going to want to shoot in Georgia when they could be in Miami or Orlando or Pensacola or even Jacksonville, Naples, Key West? And that's one of the things we're going to be focusing on as we move forward.
Like many other things these days, organized labor is a polarizing topic. Talk about some of the misconceptions that people have about unions and how you work to dispel some of those misconceptions.
I've been involved with unions all my life and my family, and I just want to focus on the protections that we have here in the United States, like the 40-hour work week, the weekends off, vacation, health care. It all comes from strong unions. We didn't have any of that until the unions started organizing. And a strong middle class is the result of a strong unions that we have in this country. So when you hear people that are all saying the unions that are this and the unions are taking money from you, that money is being used to protect them. And a lot of the benefits that they get right now, they don't understand. They need to be, I think, educated on why we have these, because if you don't have these, corporate America is just going to gobble up all the profits. They don't care about anything but the profits. You have the CEOs of corporations making hundreds of millions of dollars, whereas Amazon just agreed to pay their minimum wage at $15 an hour. And you know, Amazon didn't just hop up one day and decided to do that. It was because the people that were helping them get all those corporate profits were the people that were working at the bottom line. And I think the minimum wage here in the United States right now is $7.50 an hour. Who can work on that? I live in Brickell. There's no way that would even pay my rent if I worked 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So these protections that everybody's seeing here in the United States, we didn't have these 100, 200 years ago until the unions started organizing. Then we started seeing the 40-hour work week. We started seeing vacation, health care, pension, and it's all because of unions. A strong middle class is the result of strong unions. So I think that how we work to dispel them is by educating people, letting them know that everything that they're taking and they're receiving is because of what the unions have done over the years. and will continue to do.
That's very well said. John and Herta, what do you believe is the most important role that SAG-AFTRA plays in the world today?
Well, first of all, we're the strongest and most influential actors union in the world.
SAG-AFTRA is part of the International Federation of Actors, which is an organization of all the different entertainment unions of the world. And definitely, as John said, we are the most respected. We are ahead of issues of today's issues, such as sexual harassment. We have developed an amazing structure and plan to address this issue, for example, that affects our members in a really bad way. And safety on the job, we're also ahead of the other unions in developing safety so that our members don't get hurt when they're working. As you know, we also represent stunt performers, so this is a big issue. I mean, the safety of those that are going to be seen on the screen as jumping from buildings, driving cars, doing things like that. So we're honored to be part of FIA, the International Association of Actors, and we just finished some meetings for example, in Japan about intellectual property. And again, these are organizations that cover all different countries around the world. And, they see us as the leader of the protections and the developments of safety and other things for everybody in the world that works in our industry.
John and Herta, we talked a little bit earlier about the need for a statewide program to bring more projects, more jobs, more money here to the state for our industry. In addition to that, what are some of the main goals and initiatives you have for the state of Florida?
Specifically, Florida, we're going to continue to support and develop a strong incentive program. As you know, what's happened in Miami-Dade County, we're trying to expand that to other counties. Our new legislative chair, Tamara Jones, is actually working now to let the people in Tallahassee know that this is what our residents here in Florida want. And it's something that's very important, that they don't understand that when productions are being shot here, it shows our state in such a good way that it gives it marketing. It helps with tourism. You have heads in beds and craft services and the people that are working behind the scenes all the time, the kids that are coming out of college. They can stay here and be tax-paying citizens here, residents here in the state of Florida. So that's some of our goals here in Florida, but we also have for our members here is on educating our members. We do the training our members on how to do the acting, the auditions, also training our members on how we move forward with this to bring more productions here, and educating and training our members to become better actors, better stunt people for the voice auditions. It's a constant thing that you have to do. It's like if you play the piano and you learn to play the piano really well and you stop playing it for 5 years, you're not going to be as good. So we have to stay involved with keeping our talent as the best talent in the world. So those are the different goals that we have here in our Miami Local, which is part of Florida, which makes up a gigantic chunk of the members that we have.
If I may add, our training programs are usually open to members, but in many occasions we do open it to everybody, to non-members as well, because we feel that the non-members are the future members and that they should be the best that they can be in what they do.
And that's why we have the workshops. We have some of the best teachers. We have Paul LeBerry coming down in November. Before that, we had some of the casting directors from New York and Alabama, and they came down here and they showed the auditions. And this is all free. It doesn't cost anything. They're coming down here wanting to educate our members and the members, people that are wanting to become actors too. And the reason that I've opened it up for the non-members to show them what it means to become unified and how it helps them, the benefits that they get when they can actually come in and not have to pay all this money to train themselves and to stay on top of their game. And then some of the times I even have some of the casting directors come to my building and they work with our actors that are there, but it's a continued thing that you have to hone in and practice all the time.
So if somebody wanted to get more involved with SAG-AFTRA or learn more about it, even from the very beginning, talk a little bit about what they should do and how they should get more involved and reach out.
Okay, if they wanted to become a member, they would contact our office and ask for Eileen at the number 305-670-7677 and press 0 if they need to contact someone specifically, or which will go to the secretary, or they can call 1-800-724-0767. If they are members, then they wanted to get more involved with SAG-AFTRA, attend our events. I'm always out there. I'm at every single event that we have. If there's an event, I'm going to be there. Herta's going to be there. Our staff's going to be there, and our members are. We feel like family in our Miami Local. When you go into one of our events, we're all there. You're welcomed with open arms. I don't know what happens with some of the other actors that are not our members, but when we have our events, they are so well run and they are so member-friendly that it makes you feel welcome every time you go to one of them. And you can always come up to me and ask one of us there. We have an event coming up in November, and events are constantly happening. If anybody does have any questions on SAG-AFTRA or the benefits of it and how it helps them and the better pay and the protections they get, to contact our office. They can call me. I'm on Instagram, John McKarthy with a K, McKarthy, or Facebook, or call our office. And if they have any questions, a lot of times people are hesitant to reach out, and we want to be welcoming anybody who wants to join our union and further their career, because I believe that when you become a member of SAG-AFTRA, it's the best way to further your career. It opens up so many different doors to different productions that you can become involved with, whereas before, in past tense, it was so much harder to actually get into one of those productions.
John and Herta, I know both of you have been very involved with Telemundo down in South Florida. Talk a little bit about what you've been working on with them.
Yes, very exciting. A year ago, we won an election where the performers that work at Telemundo chose SAG-AFTRA as their collective bargaining representative, and it was an amazing vote where we won 91-21, which is kind of unheard of in union elections. And we were at the bargaining table with Telemundo for 15 months. And finally, in July, we reached an agreement with Telemundo, and the next Telemundo production is going to be covered by SAG-AFTRA, which is going to be the first one at their new studio, so everybody is pretty excited. And our membership in terms of Hispanic members has grown immensely since we have brought in Telemundo into the fold. It's the first network election in years and years, going back to when SAG and AFTRA organized the networks. So we're all excited about it, and we just hope that we can give them the best benefits and service that they can get when they go back to work with Telemundo.
Yeah, and a lot of our members are really excited about this. Now they have minimum pay they're going to get. They are going to be eligible for pension and health care, and they're going to be able to get overtime, whereas before a lot of them were having to work. You had the regular stars on the show were having to work other jobs. And so the residuals that they get whenever those shows are being shown as well, the benefits that they have from a SAG-AFTRA contract. And remember, here in Miami, we have such a large group of Hispanic from every country in Latin America. They're all here in Miami. They're not just from Mexico and Venezuela and Cuba. They're also from Peru and Ecuador and Colombia and Panama, and the list goes on, Guatemala. And this is kind of like the capital of South America, Miami is. And it's very important. We're really excited about it. Our office is very close to the new gigantic production company facility they built there, and we're very excited about what's going on with that contract. Thank you so much for asking that question.
That's it for this episode of the Film Florida podcast. Thanks to John McKarthy and Herta Suarez for joining us, and thank you for listening. To learn more about SAG-AFTRA, visit SAG-AFTRA.org. That's SAG-AFTRA.org. And to get directly to the Miami Local, there's a pull down on the top right of the website. And of course, for more information about Film Florida, go to filmflorida.org and check out our pages on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn.